Hello everyone, my name is Alex Lamont and I am a senior enrolled in Rider University's Business Education program. This is a presentation for my class with my advisor, Dr. Curran, called Instructional Media and Technology Management. It's a business education course, and I've completed this assignment as of this month, December 2013. In this presentation, I want to talk about the following technologies. These technologies were selected because they have the potential for moving schools forward and offering more students more opportunities. While some of these technologies and ideas are already several years old, the education system has been slow to adapt or implement them. However, there are enough schools that are using some of these technological advancements in their classes that other schools can look to them as a model. However, there are still many schools who are not using these technologies, so a discussion of how they can benefit a school is still warranted. First, I want to talk to you about Google Apps for Education, and I'm going to start with a brief video.
I'm Vivian Liang and I work at Google. Today we're here to talk about Google Apps, which, if you're not familiar with it, is our online suite of communication and collaboration tools. I think here at Google we've been looking at ways people work with each other and communicate with each other, and we found that most of the time we're pretty attached to our own computers or hard drives, and being an internet company, we figured there must be a better way. And one of these ways is what we call cloud computing. I know it sounds a little bit geeky, but it's really not that complicated. Basically, all of your files and all of your information, even all of these programs that you use, are all stored, online or in the cloud, as we call it. That means you're not attached to any single computer or hard drive. All you have to do is be connected to the internet, and you can access these programs and files from anywhere in the world. Let's use an example. So I'm in New York, and my coworker is in San Francisco, and we need to work on a presentation together. In the old way, we would have created a presentation, emailed as an attachment, and sent it back and forth until we were done. But with Google Docs, for example, I can create a presentation online, share it with my colleague, and we can actually both edit it and make changes at the same time. And we're working on the same actual doc, so there's no version control and there's no attachments. There's only one copy of any file that you work on. That means you can be accessing your information and working with other people from any computer. In fact, you can actually connect to it from any device that's connected to the internet. So smartphones, netbooks, laptops, you name it. And there's nothing to download or install. You just get online and off you go. I hope this video has been helpful. If you have any ideas on how we can make apps better, please let us know at this link.
So there's a lot of great benefits here that schools can use. First, you can access documents anywhere you are. So we are no longer tied down to one hard drive or one computer. Everything is stored in the cloud. Now students no longer have to worry about not having access to their work. They can start work at home and finish it at school without the excuse of forgetting to have emailed it to themselves. This has happened to me when I was substituting. Certain students had a resume project to do, and they weren't able to, not all of them were able to work on it because they were almost done, but they had done that work at home and they forgot to finish. They forgot to email their most recent document to themselves so they could work at it once they got to school. This is no longer a problem now if students are using a Google document. Also, we're teaching our students to collaborate with Google Apps. Collaboration is an important skill, and students can work together on one document anywhere at the same time. So we as educators no longer need to have one student at a computer with 2 or 3 other students looking over that student's shoulder. Everyone can be involved and have a voice, and this relates to accountability. So the teacher and the student's peers can see exactly who has done what work in a Google Doc. So teachers can see who was doing the bulk of the work, and they can act and grade accordingly. Additionally, now that students know that they are being held to a higher standard of accountability, they may actually increase their quantity and quality of work. Another great benefit of using Google Apps is its autosave feature. Students will never lose a document. When I was in school, my computer teachers and all my teachers would always tell me to save early and save often. However, this is a thing of the past. Google automatically saves every change you make to a doc the second it is made. So students and teachers no longer need to worry about losing a document if the power goes out or if a laptop freezes or dies. Once you boot that computer right back up again, your document will be waiting for you right where you left off. Additionally, teacher and peer feedback. Teachers and peers can easily leave comments in the margins to improve the paper. The great thing, if you're using Google Docs, is a discussion can be held in those margins between the teacher and the student. So this can take away much of the confusion with vague comments, or sometimes we as educators can have messy handwriting and the student doesn't want to go up and ask, what does this word say, or what does this comment mean? Now we can have a clear dialogue about what might need to be fixed in the paper. The teacher can also see how well the student has responded to the feedback that has been given, because students have the option to close out your comment if they feel like they've resolved it, and if you realize they haven't, you can open it back up again and bring it back to their attention. It really can get them thinking metacognitively. Next technology I want to talk to you about and introduce with a brief video is BYOT/D, which stands for Bring Your Own Technology and/or Device.
Meet Stu and Dent, two typical high school students. Stu comes from a pretty great home where he's got access to a smartphone, tablet, and laptop, all the tools he could ever need. Dent's family just can't afford that right now. Luckily, Stu and Dent are in a class with a laptop cart. But because there are only 10 computers in that cart, Stu and Dent have to share each computer with at least 4 other students. That just doesn't work. Although students work in groups, those without their hands on the computer just disappear from the lesson. Stu and Dent are in the same small group for a project. Stu has this great idea for the project and wants to use his smartphone, tablet, and laptop on the new school wireless. But when he tries to connect his personal equipment, he's blocked from the school Wi-Fi. Stu wonders how he can get access to the internet on his devices at his favorite coffee shop, but not at school. Back in class, he must power down his devices and rely on only those few class machines. And hopefully, he'll be one of the lucky few to get access. Of course, because Stu has so much access to technology at home, he's a whiz at it. So guess who jumps to the group's aid to get the project done? Stu! And again, everyone else just fades away. But what if Stu could use his own devices? There's a new push for BYOD, Bring Your Own Device, where Stu could get internet access at school with his tablet, and his classmates could use their smartphones, you know they've got them, or even a personal laptop. And now Dent can have that much needed access to the school computer from the laptop cart. Now no one disappears. So let's put a big dent in the digital divide. Provide for the students that really need our help, while helping students that have personal access learn how to use those devices to be productive, lifelong, 21st century learners.
Again, many benefits for schools. So BYOD is great, first of all, because students can learn anytime and anywhere. They don't have to be tied down to a textbook or a desktop computer or their chair listening to a lecture to learn anymore when they have a mobile device. One example, I was subbing in the classroom which I will be student teaching in next semester, and the students were in small groups preparing for a debate that they were going to have on the government shutdown. Now, as educators, we know many of our students, they're not very up to date with recent events and current news, and we would like them to be more up to date. One of the students I saw, they just whipped out their phone, they pulled up the New York Times, and they started sharing what they were learning about the government shutdown with the rest of their group. Now again, even if your school doesn't have a BYOD policy, students do have these devices on them, and they may pull them out and start using them regardless. So it's best to have a policy in place so all students can use these devices most effectively. And students can learn when it's most meaningful to them. In this case, the students in that group, they wanted to learn about the government shutdown at that moment because they wanted to do well on their debate. When students can pull out their phones or look at their tablet to learn in real time when they need to most, That's real meaningful learning that's going to stick with them and that they're going to want to share when they go home with their parents or tell their other classmates about the government shutdown. They can be involved in these conversations now. They can also get in the habit of realizing the educational power that the devices they already have hold. Another big plus here is student engagement. Basically, when that screen lights up, the student's attention is focused on that screen, as we know as educators. There are no concerns having to teach the student how to use the device in BYOD because it's their device. They already enjoy using it. They take it everywhere. They're experts. Another big benefit here, we can teach them 21st century skills through BYOD. So skills like communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and problem solving. These are all desired and required skills by employers. And employers say there's not enough people out there with these skills. As educators, we can teach students how their devices can be effectively used for these purposes. How do students communicate effectively on the phone? How can they use their tablets to solve problems and research information effectively? One obvious benefit here is cost. As long as the school has the network capabilities, the school save money by not having to provide a device for every single student. And the reality is that most students do have devices. A recent report as of last year, according to the Pew Research Center, they reported that 78% of teens own a cell phone. So this is ages 12 to 17, and almost half of those are smartphones. And if you've been to a high school classroom recently, the actual percentage would appear to be even higher. And again, that statistic even includes the middle schoolers, so that's focused on the whole range from middle to high schoolers. Additionally, the New York Times reports that even many low-income students still have devices. Now, so schools can provide for those who do not have devices, so no one goes without. But it is at a much smaller cost. Now, if you want to go a little further than BYOD, there's always the option of a one-to-one initiative, a one-to-one mobile device initiative. So first, let me show you this video that really shines a great light on one-to-one.
It's an amazing time to be in education right now. It's totally different than the classroom that we grew up in. It's the future.
I love being the superintendent of this district. We work with 7,400 wonderful kids. These children do absolutely remarkable things.
Every student in Hillsborough from K to 4 has their own personal tablet.
We decided to roll them out middle of the year, which is something you never do. And it was unbelievable how smooth and easy the rollout went.
Am I tech savvy? No.
I was personally ecstatic because I love technology.
We all got the tablets and they took off with it.
Kind of spread like wildfire. They were taking it out and trying to figure out how to use it, and a lot of the kids were showing them how to use it.
You just press it and then it opens. See?
When they have a tablet in their hands,
They become so much more engaged.
Things have completely changed in the way I teach. You're going to be choosing a math app that you like to practice, okay? Using the Google Play for Education store is very, very easy. It allows me to send out whatever app I've chosen to the entire group.
We have all our math apps here, our home screen here.
apps for social studies, I found them for science.
I learned how to count money, how to spell stuff. It'll help me read books.
You could have some kids over here working on math, some kids here working on reading, and the teacher can get all this data instantly.
What's the answer, boys and girls? 70. Beautiful. Give yourselves a big pat on the back. Very, very good job.
Is that what you did?
One of the most wonderful things is individual instruction.
Nice. You're doing a really good job. On an app that we use today, no one in the room knew that they were all reading at a different reading level.
So it can be very specific to that one child, and that is absolutely amazing to me.
See if you can problem solve it for me. They loved to show me things, and they helped the others that were struggling with it. They became partners in the classroom.
Okay, open up your tablets. Fun kid. I know you'll be fine.
It's no longer the special lesson. It's the new pencil, it's the new paper, it's the new book.
Students will be learning whenever they want, wherever they want, whenever it's convenient for them.
It's education everywhere at all times.
Which is what a teacher's dream is. So,
Some spectacular things can happen in classrooms.
A lot of great benefits right out of Hillsborough School District with a one-to-one tablet initiative. So the first that we saw in the video was individualized learning. So for example, for reading, students can be reading on tablets and no one will feel bad that they're reading at a slower rate than the other students because they don't know what rate they're reading at. Additionally, fast readers don't have to be held back and can explore many more books. There's many books, many options for books on tablets, ready whether you're buying from the Google Play Store or if you're buying from the Apple Store. Additionally, with text-to-speak technology today, text-to-speech technology, students can be read to on the tablet. Each word is highlighted as it's read. So for students who are required to read certain assignments, but reading is a very difficult task for them, the iPad, any tablet that has that text-to-speech technology is a great option. Again, engagement. These devices really keep students focused and engaged in the material. You saw how their faces lit up in that video when they got to use the tablets. One of the reasons why they're so engaged, and really the best thing about these tablets, is the applications. There are plenty of apps out there at this point. It's not a concern for educators. Apple has the most apps for education, but the Google Play Store has many options as well. Over the summer, I worked at a nonprofit for adult education, and they were just rolling out tablets for their classrooms. And they selected Nook HD Plus tablets, which access the Google Play Store. So even though Google Play, for example, doesn't have as many apps as the Apple Store, there's still many apps for different grade levels, different subjects. It really isn't a concern at this point. And many apps, if you're doing one-to-one initiative and each student always stays with the tablet they have, many apps can track the student's progress. So for example, one app that I found is called Math Workout, and it has many students can work with the basic operations of math. There's games on there, and it gives them different problems. Great for warm-ups, great for if the student has some extra time, they can go on the Math Workout app, and each time they finish answering the specific math questions in the allotted amount of time, they're given a score, and the teacher can actually go into the app, and the student could do this too, and they can see how fast they've been answering the questions or how well their score has improved over time. And there's a chart and there's graphs and all this information is available. So with one-to-one, it's great because the students will be assigned a certain tablet and the teacher can go in to see their progress over time. And if the student can see themselves improving in their multiplication skills, for example, that's really going to inspire them to want to keep learning, and they're going to be excited about their progress that they can clearly see right in front of them. Now, some implementation issues that we need to talk about. Leadership is very important when launching a one-to-one program. Someone in the school has to get the attention of the rest of the faculty and champion the cause. So we have to have certain leaders in the school that are really willing to promote this change. And of course, the cost always has to be considered, including the school's network. Is there a solid wireless network in place to support all of these devices? One great thing to have, if the school doesn't already have one, is a learning management system on these apps, or an LMS, as they're popularly called. This can be used on the iPads or any tablet as a simple way for teachers to have discussions or blog posts in their classroom. It's a way for where students each have a profile, and studies have shown that these students have just as much value, but students who prefer to maybe post on discussion boards instead of raising their hands in class, these students have just as much value as every other student in the class, but they may not feel comfortable in the traditional classroom setting in which they have to share their answer publicly and come up with a response with little time to reflect. If you have a learning management system, and you assign work on the tablet, then you can really meet your students where they're at. Now with iPads or any tablet, students are going to be more engaged as they seek out the answers to their questions in real time, as you saw those students doing. Communication skills are enhanced, and teachers can easily communicate with students on the devices. If you have a learning management system, you have your home page that you and the students log into. You can post homework there. You can post announcements. It can be a hub for your classroom online. And one of the most important, if not the most important, implementation issue is that the teachers must be very well trained on the iPads or any tablet in order for them to be used correctly. Like any new technology, the teachers are not trained, and if the teachers do not see the benefit of the technology, it'll be a waste of money. It'll be something that just sits in the classroom and doesn't get used or does not get used effectively. So teacher training is key. Next, I want to talk about blended learning with this short video.
Today I'm going to be talking about blended learning environment and what is blended learning. First off, it's a fairly complex model, so I'm going to divide my presentations in two parts. Part 1, I'm going to talk about what is blended learning in general, and part 2 will be about the benefits of such a learning environment. So, part 1, what is blended learning? Well, it's a combination of two models. The first one, we all know it. Teacher, students, a regular classroom setting with the board. Basically, the teacher is delivering content and leading the instruction. It's the traditional model that has been in place for a long time, with the teacher facing the students and the students facing the teacher in a brick-and-mortar school setting. This model is called a face-to-face model, since we are facing each other in the physical world. So, this is the first component of the blended learning, that very traditional model of instruction. Now, something happens, and we all know it. It's called internet, and that changed a few things. Now students can access content online, cloud-based, which means they do not need to be in school anymore to access instruction or to actually work together with a teacher. And that changed a few things. They can work at home, in a coffee place. They can actually almost work in the school bus on the way to school. Wherever they are, as long as they have internet, they can access that content. This model is called online teaching, since you are learning and teaching online. It's a very common model in higher education these days. So, what is blended learning? Well, it's a combination of those two models, the face-to-face model and the online teaching model. Now, let's have a look at an example. You're going to have students watch a presentation, and they can be watching that presentation on blended learning, for example. With cloud-based devices, they do not need to be in school anymore to hear your lecture. They can watch your presentation pretty much anywhere and wherever they are, as long as they can access that content. And then you can have a discussion on that presentation in school with a teacher monitoring the exchanges and leading higher thinking activities. This is not just about discussions though. It could be a group project, it could be a writing assignment. All those tasks can be conducted in both environments, face-to-face in school and /or online on internet. Blended learning is a combination of those two models. So, what blended learning is about is how much you want your teaching to happen online and how much you want it to be face-to-face. It could be a teacher or a school decision as well. What matters the most though is to create a community of learners where students can exchange, discuss, and work together.
And that community of learners is really the key idea. Now, the components of blended learning as discussed. So first, there is a face-to-face component. Students also have the component of meeting in that online environment. Some suggestions for implementation: students should have the option to take large assessments in the face-to-face environment, as not as many will feel comfortable taking them on the computer. Also, differentiating the content delivery, the way you deliver content is important, and keeping the class size small is still important. Just because we have an online component, sometimes you might think that, oh, we can serve a lot more students now, but still, small class sizes are key. yes, we have the face-to-face and we want like small class sizes there, but even online, small class sizes are still beneficial. The same benefits are there as well. Now, one of the other benefits of blended, expanded learning opportunities. So students can view learning as something that takes place not only in school but at home or wherever they are. This helps promote the idea of lifelong learning. Parents can also view the learning management system that a school is using for blended learning to monitor their students' progress. So that's a big benefit that we did not have before. Next, documents and presentations are stored in the cloud. This moves us further to a paperless class and means that students can view a lecture or a specific part of a lecture at any time as long as the blended instructor has recorded that lecture and uploaded it. So for students who are motivated to learn, if they're stuck at home, they can view the lecture. They don't have to be completely reliant on their memory. We don't always remember everything we learn in class. If the lecture is there, that helps. Now, just this past semester, I actually created somewhat of a blended environment at my work where I mentor other tutors who hold very large group tutoring. It's not the traditional one-on-one tutoring. So I used wikispaces.com to create a blended mentoring experience. So what my Wikispaces did is each week we had the agenda for our weekly meeting, my weekly meeting with my tutors, and I would hold a different training. So there would be trainings on zone of proximal development, personality styles and how it relates to your tutoring style, collaborative and facilitative tutoring trainings, and much more. So each week after I would present my tutor training topic to my tutors, they would have a discussion post regarding how they were able to implement or how they were able to take what they learned in my training and use it in any of their tutoring sessions in that week. So that way, it's providing them an application, a way to apply what they learned. They're able to reflect on it, and they're able to see what other people did too. So they're able to continue to get ideas and have their own ideas validated and or criticized constructively, of course. And it was really a benefit. I mentioned some students may not like to talk in class as much because they need more time to reflect, typically introverts. My tutors that I mentored were very largely introverted, and they really benefited from having more time to reflect before speaking, instead of having to speak right away the second the question is answered. They could think about what they learned, they could implement it in their sessions, and then they could formally reflect upon it. And I, as their mentor, can see how they're doing. Again, documents and presentations stored in the cloud. This is something else I did. I gave my tutors very little paper. Any resources, I uploaded them onto the wiki and they could download them at their own time whenever they wanted to, or they could view them in the wiki. So we saved a lot of paper this semester. Also, Blended has proven results for learning. So the Department of Education did a study, and in their analysis, they found that, quote, the overall finding of the meta-analysis is that classes with online learning, so whether taught completely online or blended, on average produce stronger student learning outcomes than do classes with solely face-to-face instruction. So when this study found that when we had the blended environment, students did perform better than if it was just a traditional model. Next, I want to talk in blended learning. I want to talk a little bit about how blended learning can expand learning opportunities for reasons you might not first expect. So, blended can benefit homeschooled students. If students need to do makeup work, if your school has a blended environment, students can make up a lot of work in their own time. Blended is great for summer work. There's several schools out there that schools who are looking to implement a blended learning environment can look to as a model. One example that I would like to cite is Riverside Virtual School, which you can look up. They have many parent testimonials explaining the benefits of the program and how they were very thankful that their students were able to be caught up to speed. Now, if a school is interested in starting a virtual school, like the Riverside Virtual School, or a teacher wanting to create a blended environment, there are many different models that they can look at and there are many different models of blended learning, and they can view those models and see what is the best solution for their own students. Next, I would like to talk about MOOCs, or MOOCs, Massive Open Online Courses.
The Massive Open Online Course is a response to the challenges faced by organizations and distributed disciplines at a time of information overload. It used to be that when you wanted to know about something, you could do a few things. You could ask someone, you could buy a book, you could try to figure it out for yourself, or you could call a school. If that school offered the course and the thing you were trying to figure out, you could go there and take it. You could get access to information about a topic. An instructor had combed through journals and books to pull the information together from a library. You might even find others who are also interested in the same things that you are. The MOOC is built for a world where information is everywhere, where a social network obsessed with the same thing that you are is a click away, a digital world. A world where an internet connection gives you access to a staggering amount of information. This video will introduce you to how a massive open online course is one way of learning in a networked world. A MOOC is a course, it's open, it's participatory, it's distributed, and it supports lifelong networked learning. In one sense, a massive open online course is just that. It's a course. It has facilitators and course materials, it has a start and an end date, it has participants. But a MOOC is not a school. It's not just an online course. It's a way to connect and collaborate while developing digital skills. It's a way of engaging in the learning process that engages what it means to be a student. It is, maybe most importantly, an event around which people who care about a topic can get together and work and talk about it in a structured way. The course is open. All of the work gets done in areas accessible for people to read and reflect and comment on. The course is open in the sense that you can go ahead and take the course without paying for it. You might pay to get the credit through an institution, but you're not paying for participating in the course. It's also open in the sense that the work done in the course is shared between all the people taking it. The material put together by the facilitators, the work done by the participants, it's all negotiated in the open. You get to keep your work, and everybody else gets to learn from it. The course is participatory. You really become part of the course by engaging with other people's work. Participants are not asked to complete specific assignments, but rather to engage with the material, with each other, and with other material they may find on the web. You make connections between ideas and between you and other people. You network. One of the outcomes that people get from the course are the network connections they've built up through engaging with each other. The course is distributed, and all these blog posts, discussion posts, video responses, articles, tweets, and tags all knit together to create a networked course. They're mostly not found in one central location, but rather all over the internet, in different pockets and clusters. There's no right way to do the course, no single path from the first week to the last. This allows for new ideas to develop and for different points of views to coexist. It also means that one of the side effects of a MOOC is the building of a distributed knowledge base on the net. The course is a step on the road to lifelong learning. MOOCs promote independence among learners and encourages participants to work in their own spaces and to create authentic networks that they can easily maintain after the course finishes. A MOOC can promote the kind of network creation that lifelong learning is all about. The course part is just the beginning. And how can you go about finding one of these? Well, news that a MOOC will be offered usually spreads on online networks. People who have reputations for interesting skills or innovative thinking on a topic decide to collaborate by offering an open online course covering that topic. Anyone who wants to join in can. In a MOOC, you can choose what you do, how you participate, and only you can tell, in the end, if if you've been successful, just like real life.
Now, although MOOCs are currently very popular in higher education, it's a very new idea too in higher education. I feel that there are many ways that MOOCs can benefit secondary education as well that aren't being looked at as much, and I want to talk about some of those now. First, with MOOCs, we can offer courses not normally available. So there are several reports of schools offering courses, high schools offering courses through MOOCs that the students usually wouldn't be able to take advantage of. One example, let me read. This was from an article from District Administration's website. Brown University recently began offering Exploring Engineering, which is a pre-college engineering course provided through Canvas Network, which is the LMS, the MOOC platform on the Canvas Learning Management System. As Brown's only MOOC designed specifically for K-12 students, Exploring Engineering teaches pre-college students about the requirements of majoring in engineering at Brown. Now this is very important because students can explore their career interests like this, but also the article states that 50% of engineering majors eventually change their major because they didn't know what they were getting into. So whether it's students taking a MOOC while they're in high school and realizing, wow, this is for me, or it's students taking a MOOC while in high school and realizing, wow, this is not for me, that's still great because they're not going to waste as much time when they get to college trying to decide what they want. They have had more time to explore. Now, they can still change their mind when they go to college, but when they know what they want to do or they have a better idea of what they want to do while they're still in high school, that's a real benefit. And if they can take a free course to help them gain that knowledge base, both about the content and about themselves, that's a huge benefit that we didn't have before. Also, quoting from the article, another great benefit for the high school student is test prep. So the University of Miami's Global Academy developed a MOOC specifically for high school students last year. And it's a 3-week course, and they prepare students to take the SAT test in biology. So they put the cap for this MOOC on 200 participants, but the high school ended up on getting almost 1,000 students interested. Because of the huge demand, the Global Academy plans to offer it again, and some of the people participating were entire classrooms of students who were in advanced biology and their teachers. So the teachers use the MOOC in addition to teaching students in the classroom. The students use the MOOC to learn with the teachers. So there's a great network of support there, and the MOOC offers a whole nother community of learners that the students didn't have before. So that's also a great benefit. And there's a tie-in with blended learning here as well. So one example of how a teacher used this in a blended learning environment, a physics teacher used a MOOC provided by Udacity, which is one of the 3 main providers, in her physics class as part of her blended classroom. So on Mondays and Wednesdays, students would participate in the MOOC, and Tuesdays and Thursdays, they studied material that was gathered online from the MOOC. They weren't active participants, but they were studying material still. And the teacher, as the students were doing that, the teacher would be able to work individually with students who were maybe having more trouble or answer to students' specific questions as the students were really being independent learners. They're learning to be more independent, which when you're learning online, that's a skill you really need. But when teachers incorporate a MOOC in the classroom, the students don't have to worry as much about setting aside the time on their own schedule to learn, which is what participants in a MOOC have to do if they're out of school. They have to set aside certain time, they have to be disciplined here. But this is just built into their normal schedule. So students are able to get great results from these MOOCs. And just in that example, in that physics classroom example that I just mentioned. Let me quote here from the same article. So students in this physics class are performing at or above their peers in a mirrored class delivered traditionally. They scored on average higher on the end of course assessment. So again, we see that blended environment when compared to the strictly face-to-face traditional environment. The blended students are performing higher at the end of the day. Now, while I don't see MOOCs as a replacement for secondary education classrooms, I definitely think they can be a great supplement. Now, in conclusion, the technology available today allows us as educators to do things that we did not think were possible before. Technology can be integrated in any classroom at any grade level in order to achieve the goals set by a school district, the school, or the teacher. Technology is here to stay, so now students encounter technology before they even enter our school system. And technology will be there once they graduate from school as well. As educators, we can teach them 21st century skills that come with using technology that they will be exposed to throughout the rest of their life. Overall, our job as educators is to integrate this technology so it is purposeful. Thank you for your time. If you would like to get in touch with me with any comments or questions on this presentation, you can email me at lamonteach, that's Lamon teach, @gmail.com, or visit my website at alexlamon.wikispaces.com. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day.